We're going to make a light blue for this banner color, and what we want to do, you want to use quite a bit of white, enough to cover your surface, and then you want to take just a little toe or a little drop of the blue and mix it into the white because blue is so powerful. And we just want a soft, pretty blue for this, and it will not take very much blue to make that happen. Okay, this is primary blue and that's warm white. Okay, see how little that actually took? Maybe just a little hair more. Okay, so just a little bit at a time. Always when you're mixing colors, always mix a dot of your dark into your light color. Never go the opposite with a pile of the dark and then mix your light color in. Okay, when you get a blue, the color that you like it, then what you're going to do is you're going to roll on your base coat. Now I've got my banner is based already another color, but I didn't like it and I had to change my plan. Okay, so I'm just building my blue. And a little bit more. Okay, so I'm getting to about 3 chocolate chips to that pile of white. Trying to sneak up on it and get a pretty blue. There we go. I think that's going to be about right. You could really see the green in this blue, or the yellow in the blue in the earlier the other color. Okay, I think that's pretty darn good. So now wipe off my palette knife, get my roller out, and then I'll roll on my surface. We're going to make some clouds up in our sky. We're going to use our roller. Put another coat on here, leave it kind of wet, and then just slip slap on the front end some little blobs. We're going to have this umbrella up here, so we just want some background interest. And if you do wet and wet, then everything will kind of absorb into each other and it'll be nice. Okay, so we just roller slip slap on the sides. Use the back side with just the straight color to soften anything. And pick up a little bit more and have that be the ones that don't get so blended. Okay, so that's our little clouds. Maybe we'll bring some down here. This is going to be ground down here, so. A little slip slappy motion. Okay, so we have a little cloudy sky action. And I always just put my rollers into a plastic bag and then roll them up to keep them wet until I'm sure that I'm done with them. And then rinse them with hot water until they run clear. And then allow your canvas to dry really well, because canvas is non-porous and so it stays wet for quite a long time and your graphite lines could sink in into your paint and then be unerasable. So you just want to make sure that it's they're going to erase. Okay, so we're going to take our taffy yellow and put just a little bit of yellow ochre into it. Maybe big healthy chocolate chip into a 1/4 inch puddle, just to darken up that taffy yellow. Taffy is just a little bit too light. It's going to be for our umbrella. I'm going to use Hauser medium green. And base in our tulip stems. Okay, we're going to mix our pink, which is going to be true red plus a little bit of warm white. Not too bright. The nice thing about mixing your colors is you can kind of decide what you want to have happen. You know, you can look at this and put it on there and say, is that dark enough? I think I want it a little bit darker. You can make your shade colors out of the same colors if you want to. Okay, go on there. Do we like that? I think I'm going to try that color. It's not such a light baby pink. It's a little bit deeper than that. Alright, once I got that pink on there, I realized I wanted it a whole value or two darker. So I'm just going to go ahead and mix in a pile. Mix it up a little bit more. Reds don't come very pigmented, so you can use a little bit more generous amount of red to your white. There we go, I think I like that. Of course, I thought I'd like the last one too. I got my polka dots on, and my green leaves are still a little bit sticky. So I wanted to show you, when you're making your lines on your umbrella, just go from one lump to the other. You don't have to skip across the whole thing. And I'm not thinning because I don't want to base these again and again. Whoops. If you make a mistake, you're just going to patch, but try not to make a mistake. Just one lump at a time. And I had anticipated this one being half a polka dot, but I think I'm going to bring it down. Alright, we want to deepen up our red. Now I've already done it to make sure that I like the color. We're going to float and do detail work on these. So the color that it was this color right here, and then we're going to deepen it down to this color. Let's telephoto in. Okay, so we're just going to pick up a little bit more of the true red. We're just going to mix a darker color, and this is going to be our shade color. So you probably want to go about 2 values darker for it to look nice, and you're going to float with it. Okay, so you get a little water on your brush. Dip into your paint, blend, blend, blend. And then we'll do little C strokes on all of these little details right there. I think that mix that I just did could be a little bit darker. Toss the rest of the red in there. See, now that's the thing with when you mix colors, you can decide stuff. So you can decide if it's not showing up, you know that it's not showing up, so just make it a little bit darker. Now I'll go into that color again. Just repeat that last step. I'm going to like that a lot better. So all of these get C-stroked on the, say, left side. And I think let's give ourselves a little check action right here on our band. Just with a liner brush, with a round brush. Doesn't have to be perfect or even, just some busyness. We want this to be a fun, funky umbrella. Okay, and I think a white polka dot as well. Okay, we're going to do some little white polka dots using our stylus. And just re-dip as you need to. This is warm white. Just along the edges. I haven't decided if I'm going to do them on the umbrella yet or not. And once again, when you're doing a pattern, you don't have to do everything that I do. If you don't like polka dots, make them checks. If you don't like checks, make them stripes. If you don't like it busy, make it plain. You know, so you can always make those decisions on your own. And of course, then it becomes your own piece of art, which is always delightful. Okay, just kind of centering them on the lower rim. I'm going to fluff in some dirt with dark chocolate. I'm going to make it straight down near the stems. But I want you just to kind of fluff it in back behind. Kind of fading out right over here. Clumps, we're going to have some grass and stuff like that. Let's wash it out down towards the bottom. Use an older brush for this so you don't ruin your brushes. And finger paint just a little bit. That's always fun. Wash your finger off so you're not eating your paint. I guess you could bring it all the way down. into this V kind of. And wash in your umbrella handle. And keep this kind of light. We just want it to be back there. We don't want it to take over because we're going to have a tulip right there. But something's going to be holding that up. Okay, we're going to use our dark chocolate and float softly, really softly with, I'm going to float these divisions in the umbrella. Just a real gentle, soft, carry the arch nicely line. If you mess it up, take it off real quick. It's just a real faint float. Faint float. Maybe it's too dark. We'll smear it around. And that's going to give us those divisions. I think we're going to flip float on this. Line up your lines on your polka dots with a little thinned true red just off to one side. Try to keep it on the polka dot and not on the yellow. Just on one side. I'm going to paint the raindrops coming off of the edges of these. We're going to float, first of all, Victorian blue. And it needs to be a nice float, but strong, well blended. And what we're going to do is we're going to float just a little teardrop, batter on one side, and end it just as we come down the little loop. Then we need to have some free-falling teardrops, or raindrops, I guess. Okay. And then once you do that, you're going to take your liner brush and you're going to go into warm white with a little teeny bit of water in it. And you're going to line next to the bowl. Whoops, don't dilute it too much, and that's still wet, so that's part of the problem. I'm going to line next to this side to finish up the teardrop. And you rinse your brush and get a little bit of the Victorian blue on your brush. Strong. Don't dilute it too much. And then this is going to come down on the outside of the white and give it that bulbed look. And now maybe my drops are dry enough. We'll go into some of the warm white and just give ourselves just this little C-stroke into this blurb right there. And those are going to be our little raindrops. We're going to make a deeper red to shade our tulips. So mix just a little bit more true red in with your medium mix. Make a shade color. And we'll float. Get this out of your way. Then we'll float a little bit at the base of those tulips. All the tulips. And then give it a little bitty bit up here to create just a little C-stroke in the throat. The tulip. We'll get some dark back there and then we'll do some overstrokey flower thingies. And we also need to shade our greenery. So that's going to be done with medium Hauser green. So go in with a float. Okay. You're going to shade that behind. So you want to just indicate where things are branched over and where they're not. You don't have to be too careful with this because, okay, this guy is going to be a stem. We'll just stem that in with the Hauser green. Okay, this guy right here is going to come from behind. Just float to separate all these lines. I need to get a little bit bigger brush. We also want to float go ahead and float to separate. This is going to be floated here to separate, so that's behind. Okay, a little bit more water. If your float is dry, then it'll be scraggly on this canvas. And that is not what you want it to look like. Okay, we'll float behind here. I'm going to have to get out, I think, a little Hauser Dark just to emphasize a little bit more. Don't be afraid to turn your piece. I'm sitting here painting all awkwardly because I don't want to turn my piece and have you guys go sideways. But sometimes you just gotta do it. Okay, come here, separate all that. Okay, come over the top here, separate that. Under these, let's see, am I still on camera? Underneath these fold overs, you'll float right underneath where they flip. And you'll float on other things as well, just to indicate that. This is front. I'm going to make that go down there. Shade behind Ducky's head. Okay, and then you'll also give yourself just a little bit of a shade. I think that maybe we'll go highlight instead of shade. Let's go into our olive green. And then let's give these front ones some really nice highlight. Not too much down at the base. And where they're going to catch wet sun, it's raining out in our picture. Where they fold over. And pretend like it's just sunny a little bit. Okay, and then just give a couple accents in the middle, and then at the tops a little bit, here and there, just to separate. I'm just going to come down here. Oops. Keep your lines straight. If they're not straight, they'll look funny. Okay, we need to mix a lighter white into our pink, or the white into our pink, so that we can make a highlight pink color. I think I'm just going to put a touch of red in my white here. A little bit more. It's getting too dark too quick. Okay, what we're going to do with that, you're just going to float. Pardon me. Let's go ahead and float down our tulips. And give that little bit of separation. And these are just new tulips, so they're going to be closed up. They're not going to be the big open tulips. And I think I'll give this one that separation that shows that it's more than one petal there in front. And so we'll have to arch that back. Oops, stay out of the middle. A little more egg-shaped, I think. Okay, now we have pretty little tulips. I'm going to take our Hauser Dark green that's almost empty. Get a little water on our brush. This Hauser Dark is quite dark. But we need to get these tulips the stems established so that you can tell what's going on here. You're also going to take just a little mix of your Hauser Dark and your Hauser Medium, and then make this little thing that holds the little tulipy guys up so that they don't look like they're standing on straws. And I think since we have texture on this, let's pull out Patty's favorite dry brush, which is a filbert that's real stiff, and let's go into a little bit of our highlight green. And let's just dry brush, down the tips of those, just to give them a little texture, maybe even just a touch white, touch of that pink into that color. Okay, we'll give these a variegated-y looking action. I like a little bit of pink in that color. Like maybe it's the combination of the white and the pink. Okay, so just... I like the dry brush look because, see, I can flick on that whole stem and it's not floated, it's not base coated, it's just accented. And it's not that rub thing that we do a lot of times. It's a dry brush, which means it's scratchy looking. Okay, and so then we'll, right where we can see details, lighten that. Just give it some variegation. You know, there's kind of all the same down here. And we'll darken this stuff down here. And then we can take just a little bit of our yellow, what color? Yellow ochre. And let's give a little bit of a yellow on one side of our little tulips here. Make them not quite all pink. A little pinky yellow there. Okay, then let's pick up just straight yellow ochre and accent those bent stems just a little bit more. Separate just a little bit more. Okay, separate. And then let's pick up, I'm going to wipe my brush out and pick up just a little bit of the dark, dirty brush into the dark Hauser green. Flip my brush on the paper towel. I'm going to start these strokes down from the bottom up. Okay, and I don't want them base coated. I'm going to fill in just some dark, and it's going to grow with the stem. Don't arch. I just caught myself just doing that. It wants to go, you need these to go in the same direction as the stem grows for it to look better and more natural. Flick off on the paper towel. Okay. A little bit dark back there. This will show up better if we kind of line over the top of it and then flick some dark back there. Okay, I think that's getting a little cuter. You know, all paintings go through such an ugly stage sometimes, and you just sit there and wonder if you're ever going to make it. So don't feel like that's just you that happens to. Okay, I think I got things anchored just a little bit. And we also want to go into our, let's see, yellow plus white. The yellow ochre plus a little bit of the white. I want to give these a little bit of that yellowy stuff that comes out of tulips. I'm going to do Ducky's nose with a little bit of the True Red plus the yellow ochre and make some sort of orange. It's going to have maybe a little bit of a redder beak. Okay. Okay, it's got a nice big mouth. And Ducky gets a little eyeball that is going to be warm white. Some arched little eyeball. And then he gets a little blue. We're going to pick up some of that Victorian blue. Give him a little blue eye. And then maybe give him with, I don't have any black out. Wow, huh. Okay, and then we're maybe going to give him a little bit of the black. And with very thin, very watery black, pardon me, line his beak. Go ahead and line his body. And then on our water is based with Salem blue. On our water we want to pick up Victorian blue. A little thin and just give it some of these little water puddle marks. And then rinse your brush and pick up a little warm white with water, a little bit heavier. And then with this one, we want to come right next to whatever we've done here on our water and give it splashing around just a little bit. And then on these other puddles, and give them just a little smear of, like, there's water drips going on. Left side with stronger dark chocolate. Blue. And find a spot. My palette is a disaster. Okay, I think I want one of them to be coming down and becoming like a little missile. I'm gonna hit right there on that thing. And then the other thing I thought might be fun is to go ahead and put water drops coming down. Oopsie. I'm gonna flip this way. Just shooting down. Actually, you know what? Let's line up. Let's line up this one with this one. Let's make that be like something just fell off of there, and then let's line up a little water drop like it's all dripping off the edges. Okay, and then we need a couple more just like little guys out here. Just kind of happening. A little bit softer so that they're not the center of attention. Yeah, it's a rain drippy day. Our ducky is happy though. And then we want to have another one of these drip moments happening here. So this is going to be kind of like water drop shaped, and it's dripping right down. Okay, and then we'll go back here. When you want things lighter, don't be afraid to just blot it with your finger. Okay, I want to make this water drop up here, or this raindrop be the I dot be the raindrop. And then you go in with your blue, just like we did before, a Victorian blue, and you're going to line to the outside. Okay, it's just on the opposite side of where you floated. Just finishes them up. Not too dark on these back ones. Get out your white. And the white just becomes that little sparkle. Okay, if you get too much water, then things start getting ugly. Let's do that one again. Dry brush with medium Hauser green with our Patty's Favorite dry brush, only down half the letter. It's easier, I'm upside down on this, it's easier if you're upside right pulling this, but I'm doing this because I can't get a good angle. If you could see my table right now, it is so jumbled with paints and things like that. I just need to go and stop and clean up, but I don't want to because I'm trying to finish this. And I'll go, and tomorrow I'll get everything cleaned up, and then I'll be ready to make a mess again. I don't know if that sounds like anybody else, but that's how I work. Okay, so we're just going to do the top parts of all these letters. Just going to make it fit. You don't have to be too neat. You want to stay in the lines, but you don't have to. It's not like a technique. You're just kind of getting some color in there. These letters remind me of like Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat or something like that, or like a circus. Or this is a bright piece, just fun for, you know, with the spring coming and everything like that. If you're hanging this outside your door, or you know, in the front hall or something like that, it's just a nice, fun, festive piece. Okay, just the top half there. And I think we'll go into a little bit of the Hauser Dark as well. And then with that, you're just going to darken up just the very tip. Your book can't bite my paint. Okay, and then into our liner brush and into, I think, Victorian blue with water. And then, I'll get you on camera. And then on the left side of all the letters, give it a strong, and under, I think. Okay. Fix that. So I've got my banner pretty much finished, but I want to brighten up or blue up these edges just a little bit. So I'm going to use my dry crescent stencil brush that's losing its hairs. If these ever lose their hairs, just pull them out and throw them away. And then I'm going to use dry paper towel, dry paint, which means there's no water added, distribute it across the bottom, rub off on the paper towel really strongly, really super strongly. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to rub, starting in the darkest area in the corners. Just brighten this puppy up just a little bit, blue up that sky, or I guess it could be rainy, but I want to just frame it in just a bit. Okay. So you start wherever it's the strongest color, and then rub towards where it needs to be the lightest color. And then we'll rub down the sides. Now I've got paper on my table so I don't screw up my table. But I read a really great idea this morning where you can take a window shade and attach it to the back side of your table, and then unroll it. Like if you're going to be messy or varnish or something like that, you can unroll it and latch it on this side and then put it back when you want to have it be your regular table. I thought that was a really neat idea. So I will be down at my Walmart buying a window shade for my table. Straight up those sides, down the edges. And then down here on the bottom as well, although that brown kind of takes care of this. But it makes everything kind of uniform. Now if you wanted to, you could give yourself just a little bit here and there. I'm thinking I don't want to. Appropriately, Singing in the Rain is playing on my stereo in the other room right now. And I think our little duck is singing in the rain. So we need to give him a wing. We're going to float right under his arm. Give him a little bit of a little wingy dingy there. Shade in his mouth. This is dark chocolate. And then I want to increase the shadow in. I didn't shade on either side of the tulips to increase that, so I'll make a dark pinky red. I have a palette that is curling on me, which is just driving me nuts. Okay, so blend, blend, blend. And then bring that a little bit darker. See, fingers are so useful. And you know, let's go ahead and glaze a couple places with our a little bit not so dark on our green, and carry that color around just a little bit. Just give a few little spots, ha-cha-chas. Okay, maybe a little bit over here. Okay, there we go. We can take just a little bit, a float of our white. We've got a pink on our tulips. Let's go ahead and take just the warm white, maybe with a touch of the pink in it, and give those that final little highlight there. Just to strengthen things up. Blot it. Give our ducky's little eyeball a little whitening up. Maybe he gets a little highlight on his back and on his wing. Maybe we can do our water a little bit more. Alright, so